What's up, everybody out there in YouTube land? Wrath2501 here. Alright guys, this video has been requested several times. Alright, this is TF2 Meet the Real Team. This was put out a while ago by Caspin. Alright, not too long ago. But, so we're going to see what he's talking about, Meets the Real Team. I think it's just like supposed to be like little known facts about the Mercs. Alright, so let's see what we got here, and go.
Do you know which of the Team Fortress maps is canonically named Jane?
Yes.
Or which two are officially father and son?
Yes.
Or which one has drunk so much alcohol that normal food makes his body think that it's been
That should
poisoned?
be obvious.
Actually, you can probably guess that last one pretty easily.
Yeah, no shit.
Let's dive into the real lives of the Team Fortress Mercenaries.
I love that,
as revealed
man.
throughout the officially published comic strips, official trading cards, and other Valve published lore. Let's meet the real team. So
We've known about the real team for some time, dude.
Context on what the story of Team Fortress 2 even is. Now, I'm not going to go into a lot of detail here, as by the developer's own admission, TF2's story is more convoluted than Half-Life or even Portals. But it is important to cover a few things so we can better understand just who these 9 people are and give some context to the important life events that we're going to talk about in this video. The blue team and the red team are actually 2 separate groups of mercenaries, both working for a company called TF Industries, unbeknownst to each other, and employed to fight each other repeatedly at the demands of the mysterious administrator, the same person whose voice we hear whilst playing the game. Despite the blue and red teams being canonically different people, the majority of Team Fortress story only focuses on one team and only ever really fleshes out the personalities and life of one of each merc. So for the sake of this video, we won't be talking about both scouts or both soldiers, etc. Just the scout and the soldier, so on. At a critical point in the story, the company that supplies the weapons to TF Industries and our mercs...
We make hats, guns, bats, bombs, bazookas, camera beards, comics, magazines, portable Baccarat deck, detectors, banners, swords, shields, and get in fights. Non-employees welcome for Guerrilla Wrestling Fridays. Awesome!
Manco gets taken over and set upon by the robots of man vs. machine mode, ultimately leading to TF Industries being abandoned by the administrator, and the end of the fighting between the blue and the red mercs. The majority of the story from this point on then features Miss Pauling, the administrator's assistant, reuniting one set of our mercs, hunting down the robots and their creator, and fighting the Team Fortress Classic version of themselves and a horde of killer robots, in what ends in a massive cliffhanger.
We should add those robots
waiting over 5 years to read the
conclusion.
what
the hell, man?
Now, as I said, that is an extremely short version, and I've purposely left out some key details and character names in an attempt to reduce confusion to anyone who might not be familiar with the story at all. But of course, if anyone is interested in a more comprehensive story overview or a video in the same style as this one focusing on the non-player characters of the TF2 universe, then please do let me know, and if there's enough interest, I would love to make those videos too. So with all of that out of the way, let's profile our mercs, starting with those that we know the least about, and moving through to the juicier and juicier details.
We know virtually nothing about Pyro. Not even what it is.
Unsurprisingly, the merc that we know the least about is, of course, Pyro. We don't know their name. Heck, we don't even know their gender. With that said, Pyro is referred to several times as he, him, his, or sir in the comics, including by Miss Pauling, who is second in command at TF Industries, the company who employed Pyro in the first place.
I think they're just going with that because he looks male.
If anyone knows Pyro's true identity, then it's going to be Pauling. But on the flip side, Soldier does at one point suggest that he had always had a suspicion that Pyro was a woman. And it's also worth noting that in the
not
comics,
what he meant there, dude. That's nothing what was happening
Team
there.
Fortress Classic mercs, and only one of them is ostensibly female. Pyro. And on the TF2 official website, official trading card, and the back of the NECA action figure box, Pyro's profile reads, "He's a fearsome, inscrutable, on-fire Frankenstein of a man. If he even is a man." Of course, Pyro's lack of clear identity is, ironically, part of Pyro's identity. And it seems unlikely that we'll ever be any straight answers or smoking guns confirming who or what is underneath the mask. But believe it or not, that's not actually where Pyro's story ends in the comics. During a period between TF Industries being abandoned and Miss Pauling reuniting everyone, Pyro is found sitting as CEO at a successful company called Frontier Engineering, and is considered to be personally responsible for the company having a record quarter. Another interesting tidbit, is the fact that Pyro genuinely appears to see the world in Pyrovision, as originally shown in the Meet the Pyro short, with multiple panels throughout the comics showing us the world through Pyro's eyes in the same bubblegum rainbow wonderland point of view.
Fire.
Next up,
because without
is
the fire,
Heavy
everything
Weapons
was
Guy.
dark and gray.
From the comics, we know that his name is Mikhail, or Misha as a nickname. Whilst Heavy is of course outwardly Russian, we learn from the comics that he's from Siberia, and his action figure box tells us specifically the Zhugzhur Mountains. Heavy loves his miniguns,
Yes, he
and
does.
he's named them all, Sasha being his main one, Natasha, of course, being his best known other gun, but also Svetlana, Oksana, and Sheila. But despite being attached to his metal killing machines, he also shows a lot of compassion for his family. He
Yeah,
lives with
he's
his
definitely
mum
a family
and three
man.
sisters, Bronislava, Yana, and Zana, a lot
Zhana.
of which we'll hear about a bit later. Engineer. Real name, Del Conacher, from the town of Bee Cave, Texas. Whilst many of our mercs might appear clever, but mostly insane, Engineer is the most genuinely intelligent, having
Yes.
no fewer than 11 PhDs.
Wow.
Whilst his
I didn't know it
personal
was that
history
many.
is
I
never
knew he had a
explored in
bunch.
great details throughout the comics, his family are amongst the most important to the main storyline. We all know about Australium from the in-game universe, the extremely rare metal used to decorate sought-after expensive weapons. The engineer's grandfather, Radigan Conacher, built a series of machines that use Australium as fuel to extend
That's not
a
the one he
person's
made, though.
life.
That's the one
And
invented by
Del,
Grey Man.
our engineer, has continued that work, iterating and improving on the design during his time working for the administrator. Throughout the story of the comics, obtaining Australium and using it to extend life is the main plot point motivating the lead antagonist,
Yeah, I
as
remember
well
that
as
part.
the other main non-player characters. If it wasn't for Engineer's grandfather, and in the present day period of the comics, Engineer himself, this motivation wouldn't even exist. So whilst our other mercs definitely get more screen time, Engineer is the most important merc when it comes to the underlying story.
And probably the least insane.
The Sniper. On the back of his NECA action figure, we find out that Sniper's real name is Mick Mundy. However, we find out in the course of the comics that his birth name is actually Mundy, in the same style as his parents' names Bill Bell and La Na. And perhaps most surprisingly of all, he's actually from New Zealand,
The lost
which in the
city
Team
of New
Fortress
Zealand.
universe is a sunken underwater world covered in a glass dome. With that
There you
said,
go.
Sniper is shown to have been blasted out of underwater New Zealand on a rocket whilst just a young baby, adopted by Australians and brought up in Australia. Miss Pauling also addresses Sniper's adoptive parents as Mr. and Mrs. Mundy, suggesting that Sniper's birth name being Mundy and adoptive surname being Mundy, making his name technically Mundy Mundy, is maybe just a happy little coincidence. The Spy. It goes without saying that we don't know a lot about Spy. Arguably more
another-
so than Pyro,
another
a lack
mysterious
of
character.
identity is part of Spy's character. His name
True.
is unknown, and whilst of course being a spy he could be pretending to be French, his France origin
That's
is
true.
confirmed on the
Never
website
thought of
and on the
that.
back of his action figure box, along with his ability to speak French, Spanish, and Catalan. As with Engineer, his personal history isn't much expanded on in the comics, but we do see a couple of interesting moments reinforcing his in-game character, such as a mention of his suit costing $10,000, and his
Jeez.
teeth apparently housing
Yeah.
a series of miniature items, such as a full
Yeah.
roast dinner. Spy often hints about having a more than friendly relationship
And even a
with
tiny
Scout's
knife that he
mother.
stabs,
There's
backstabs people with.
Scout-specific voice lines. The art and the
Off to
style of
visit
the
your
ambassador
mother.
is suggested to show an enemy's mum, and there's straight-up photographs of them together in the Meet the Spy short.
Bruh.
But in the comics, it is pretty much said directly. Spy is Scout's father. Spy,
Duh.
believing the Scout to be on the verge of death, disguises himself as Welsh pop legend Tom Jones, who we see elsewhere in the comics that Scout is a big fan of. And Spy admits to having dropped a sex bomb in Scout's mother. He even then directly calls Scout son.
And then Scout comes back to
The
life.
Scout. During the epic reveal, where we learn that Spy is Scout's dad, we also learn two more things about Scout. He is 26 or 27 years old.
And everybody
and
knows that
his
he's
name
that
is Jeremy.
their father and
We
son.
elsewhere learn that Scout is from Boston, as his accent and multiple item names suggest. He's the youngest of 8 brothers, which is what ultimately led him to be able to run as fast as he can. Scout is frequently shown as being not particularly intelligent, including lacking basic reading skills. He's a huge fan of Tom Jones, who we already know that Spy disguises himself as when revealing himself to be Scout's dad, and Scout is a huge collector of Tom Jones memorabilia, as well as having a misspelt Tom Jones tattoo on his chest. Scout is a hopeless romantic for the administrator's assistant, Miss Pauling, constantly trying and failing to woo her, and is apparently completely undeterred, or perhaps unaware, of her polite and consistent rejections. The Medic. From Stuttgart, Germany.
Except for
during a brief time where the Medic is dead and negotiating a deal with the devil, we find out that his name is Mr. Ludwig.
She finally accepted a date proposal from him. So.
Not Doctor. Because it's confirmed in multiple places that Medic apparently has no formal medical training.
Nope.
Instead, he just takes a fascination in experimenting on living things. This experimenting even involves somehow separating the very souls out of the other 8 mercs. Apparently, without their knowledge.
Surgically added 8 more?
This is what ultimately allows him to successfully trick the devil and come back to life after being very thoroughly killed by the Team Fortress Classic Heavy. Medic appears to have no real moral leaning towards nor against our mercs, and in fact, through much of the story, he's actually working against the rest of the team. But similarly, he does bring Sniper back from the dead by replacing his organs with those of various exotic animals. He brings a bunch of the other mercs back from the dead by simply squishing any old blood back inside them. And he does ultimately avenge his own murder by helping Heavy kill the Team Fortress Classic Heavy after having experimented on him by somehow surgically implanting a baboon uterus inside of him. The Demo Man. Full name, Tavish Finnegan de Groot. Place of origin, Ullapool, Scotland. Demo Man is one of the more
fellow Scottish lord
in the TF2 comic series, with his background not just explored a little during the main series, but also featuring heavily in the Halloween event spin-offs. We know how Demo Man lost his eye. At 7 years old on Halloween night, he goes to work for none other than Marasmus, the wizard who haunts Ghostfort during in-game events. Whilst working there that night, Demo Man is spoken to by the magical Abominomicon, the book, which is also a reoccurring Halloween in-game character. Demo is tricked into opening the book, he gets his eye haunted by the trickster spirit of the magical book, and thus Monoculus is formed. That's right, Monoculus is Demo Man's haunted, missing eye. However, during the course of the mainline comics, Medic reveals that he has grown Demo Man's eye back no fewer than 8 times, but something haunted always happens, leading them to conclude that it's the eye
giant eye, a Dracula eye, a braided a giant eye, a knife trading card, maniac eye.
Released all the way back in 2008.
He traveled back in time and tried to become our
parents. The Loch Ness monster at the age of 6 led to the death of his natural parents. However, on the official website, this sentence is changed to say it caused the death of his original adoptive parents, and this page doesn't appear to have been updated since at least 2011. However, the box for his 2013 NECA action figure, which for all the other mercs usually has exactly the same or similar text as the trading card and official website, makes no mention of this at all, suggesting a possible retcon to the parenticide.
Yeah, isn't his mom in the comics too?
And indeed, in the comics, whilst Demo Man's dad is confirmed to be dead, we do meet his mum several times.
Yeah, there you go.
Who could, of course, plausibly be an adoptive mother. Well, a second adopted mother, if the official website text is to be taken as fact. But either way, we do learn that he lives with his mum and that working jobs and making money is apparently very important to her. And even though they live in a massive futuristic mansion and Demo Man earns over $5 million a year, she still thinks he should be working harder. And of course, we can't forget Demo Man's other.
I mean, he's independently wealthy. He doesn't need to work ever again, and
alcohol.
She's still bitching
At one point in the comics, Demo is fed normal food and kept off alcohol for a period of time.
Solid food and water.
Body to start reacting like it's been poisoned. But fear not, because his consistent drinking from an apparently young age enabled his body to react appropriately, with his organs seemingly under their own steam, converting his stomach into a distillery and fermenting bone marrow, thus giving him a high enough blood alcohol level to start poisoning the robots who are attacking him. It wouldn't be Team Fortress without amazing nuggets of trivia like that.
Exactly. Awesome.
The Soldier. Throughout the comics,
Jane
Soldier
Doe.
is regularly referred to as Mr. Jane Doe. For
Yes,
those
it's
unaware,
Jane Doe, not
Doe
John
is the
Doe.
name typically given to an unidentified female corpse. Now, obviously, Soldier is not
Or
an
unidentifiable
unidentified female
female,
corpse,
you know, in
but he is
general.
shown throughout the comics to be consistently the stupidest of our mercenaries, leaving
Yeah.
it completely open to possibility that he has somehow mistaken Jane Doe as being his own name, even though it might not be. Despite this outward stupidity, Soldier shows an impressive ability to acquire jobs, and at various points is apparently a sergeant, a barrister, a priest in at least one state, a qualified exorcist in Guam, a public defender, a tour guide of celebrity homes, and winner of a nose-picking contest. Soldier has
God.
a more than business relationship.
No, he's not
with
a
more
sergeant, though. He's
characters
never
than
been in the
any of
military.
other mercs. Firstly is the wizard Marasmus, who Soldier is revealed to have been roommates with. In a series of bizarre stunts, including inadvertently getting Marasmus's castle turned into a raccoon sanctuary, Marasmus ends
Why?
up moving in with the real Tom Jones, only for Soldier to show up on the
Next
aforementioned
snap.
celebrity
He's right
homes
behind
tour
him, like-
and kill Tom Jones, framing Marasmus in the process.
Oh,
Soldier
Miss
also
Pauling
meets
helped with
and
that.
seemingly instantly falls in love with one of Heavy's sisters, Zana.
Not
Soldier and
exactly
Zana's
instantly.
escapades
They had a
form one of the main
moment.
subplots throughout comics 3 through 6, and presumably 7 should it ever be released. They start
Ever.
by immediately making love as soon as they
Make
meet,
love to me.
separating
Okay.
from the main squad and infiltrating an enemy base. Breaking out of interrogation, apparently get engaged,
That was
get
awesome.
naked, covered head to toe in honey, and bare knuckle fight a horde of killer robots.
What the fuck,
Zana
dude?
intimidates Miss Pauling for ogling Soldier, and rather fittingly, the last panel we see them in together is alongside Pauling.
There you
Saxton
go.
Hale and his partner Maggie, the rest of the mercs except Engineer, and a recently delivered baby baboon.
Who's wearing the same bandana as the TF Classic Heavy?
So there we are. Those are our mercs. But as I said at the start, there's plenty of other characters like the Administrator, Miss Pauling, Saxton Hale and his whole story arc, as well
Yep.
as the entire Man family,
Oh,
whose
God,
namesake
that's
is Manco,
convoluted.
that we hardly touched on at all. So if you think you'd like another Meet the Real episode focusing on the side characters, then please do let me know in the comments below. And whilst you're
Glitched
there,
items.
why not tell me what your favourite factoid is about our 9 mercs, whether it's one mentioned in this video or not. If you enjoyed this video, you'll probably also enjoy this one about TF2's
Oh,
coolest
that's cool,
glitched
huh?
items. Or
That's cool,
this
that
one
thing right there.
that the magic YouTube algorithm thinks that you like. And of course, if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe. Thanks.
Okay, well, there you go, guys. So, meet the real team. I mean, not really anything there I didn't know except for a couple of things, little things, but pretty cool. And yeah, I didn't even notice that before when I first saw the comic, is that the baby baboon was wearing the same bandana as the TF Classic Heavy was wearing. Huh. Interesting. Like father, like son. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed that. Okay, so Casper, boom, subscription from me. Recommend you guys click on the link to the original description and subscribe to him and like the original video. Don't forget to subscribe to me before you go, guys. Let's help get this channel up to that 150,000 subscribers. And I will see you guys next time. Tune in every day for new content. Bye-bye.